The Fierce Deity mask is undoubtedly one of the coolest transformation masks in all of gaming, but it's rather limited in where you can use it. There are various ways to perform a glitch to get Fierce Deity anywhere, but today we're looking at a Zora diving technique. To perform this, you'll need a Zora mask in a pool of water where Zora can stand just close enough to the ground. Slowly swimming towards the land, start mashing B. While you do this, also mash the Zora mask button and the B button should go blank. Once done, continue swimming towards the land and you'll get stuck. This allows you to use any item on the C slot where the mask was. In our case, place down the Fierce Deity mask and behold the power. In the graveyard, you can find 3 graves that hold secret ruins underneath. These are the ones that are being guarded by the Stalfos. Normally to get in, you would need to have obtained the Captain's Mask from Kita, which can take a long time and requires various items. But today, I'm going to show you a way to get inside with just our base equipment. First, you'll have to get on top of the graves. This can be done in multiple ways. Bomb hovering, a Goron jump, but you can also just backflip and let a Stalfos hit you mid-flip and land on top. Once you are up there, each gravestone has a specific location where you can stand and read the engraving. If read in just the right spot, Link will fall inside the grave like magic. This will allow you to get inside the ruins at nearly any time you want without having to wait for a certain night. We showed how the Deku Recoil can blast Deku into the secret hideout for Cafe, but there's another way to get in that's fun too. If you happen to have the Zora mask, you can stand right by the exit of the loading zone in the laundry pool. Facing this wall, you can side hop right and Zora will grab the sledge. It doesn't seem like you're supposed to be able to do this, but if you're careful, you can walk along the top and look around. Now beware, if you fall off, you will void out. So make your way to this side of the ledge carefully and you can see the door which leads to the hideout. With a clever jump attack after jumping, you can easily get in without fuss. Now that is styling. Killing Goat can take a long time, and you'll probably be fighting him a lot, as when he's beaten, it becomes spring outside, and the Forge and Goron races begin. So today, we'll cover a quick kill of this boss. Instead of rolling at this boss with Goron, you can shoot arrows at it with Link, and I'll cover 2 ways to kill it. The easy one is just walking up here to the top and shooting arrows at Goat as he passes. Careful, as he can still hit you up here, but if you shoot him just before he gets to you, he'll miss and pass by. You can get him down in as little as 2 cycles around. Method 2 is harder, but even faster. If you line Link up here, and side hop right while targeting, you can just barely hit Goat. And instead of charging at you, he'll shoot lightning. If you keep side hopping properly, you can kill him from afar and he'll come charging to die right next to you. Now that's fast. The power crouch stab is a popular technique in Ocarina of Time, but it was patched in Majora's Mask. Sorta. First off, power crouch stab is a technique that allows a crouching sword stab to copy the damage of the last attack used. So if you jump attack with a stick, which does a ton of damage, all subsequent crouch stabs mimic that same damage. This is due to some faulty programming. However, this was soon patched by Nintendo after they learned about it, but it wasn't patched fast enough for all versions of Majora's Mask. Power crouch stabbing works in Ocarina of Time and only the Japanese version of Majora's Mask, but for us in the West, no luck. In Majora's Mask, you may have to refight a boss a few times, so it's important to have a good strategy. So I'm going to show you the best way to kill Odala quick. Now, you can debate whether or not a stun lock is a glitch or a trick, but here's the gist. A stun lock will keep the enemy down while you continually attack. In this game, you have around 1 to 2 frames to hit it again before you lose your chance and it starts moving. While you can daze him with a shot of your bow, there are 2 common methods to stun lock him permanently. One involves quick spinning over and over non-stop. If timed perfectly, the boss will be stuck and soon dead, but it can be a little tricky. Method 2 is stronger and a little easier to pull off, but requires Goron Link. Goron is a 3-punch combo if you mash B, but that won't stun lock. Here, just run towards the boss and hit B once to punch. Then while still holding up, let Goron take half a step, then punch again. This initial punch is perfect for stunning, and before you know it, it should be over. Here's a fun little jump that saves about 30 seconds of time. In the swamp, Deku can jump across these lily pads without much fuss. However, Child Link is too heavy and will quickly sink on the pads, but we can use that to our advantage if we're clever. By the Deku Palace, there's an owl which holds the ever-important Song of Soaring. Instead of entering the palace, taking the side entrance, going to the Deku Flower, flying by these evil killer dragonflies, you could just skip it all. From the boat that takes you here, head to this lily pad here, and you can see that the log is kind of low. Deku Link has no vertical jump to save his life, but Child Link does. If you aim Deku Link right at this point here, change to Child, and quickly roll off the pad while it's sinking, there is just enough time to get Link to jump. From here, it's a simple flight to the goal. Here's a trick that's pretty game-breaking. Bombs have always had a history of being, well, a tad broken in most games, and this is no exception. Bombs can be used to create a damage source wherever they're placed, which can physically push Link. Keeping that unique use in mind, we can use this in ways to reach areas that aren't normally reachable. Goron Link possesses the ability to bounce high into the air and pound down with fury. However, you can cancel it and release the attack midair, so it's just like a vertical jump. If you time a bomb and explode it as you cancel the ground pound, Goron will be hit forward in midair. This can be used to bypass every fence in the game, meaning that you don't really need an opponent in this game. I mean, why would you when you can do this? Beans. Oddly, one of the required items to beat Majora's Mask, and we need a lot of them. This bean boy sells us beans that we need to plant in order to reach this section above the Deku Palace where we can fly around, dodging guards to get into the palace. But let's say we wanted to skip all that. Well, with this trick here, you can. Instead of planting a bean, if you head to the left at the entrance of the palace and go to this door here, Link is actually able to do a simple backflip and land on the door frame. Once here, line up your jump and you can reach this ledge here where it's a simple side hop to the Deku Flower. From here, it's smooth sailing to the goal. Link can jump pretty far, but with a recoil flip, we can go even further. The premise is straightforward. With a bomb or a damage source, shield the damage as Link is in midair and he'll fly backwards. That's pretty straightforward. This technique can be used to clear large gaps. I mean, just check how much Link can go further with a bomb recoil as opposed to just jumping. On top of that, bomb chews are even better. You don't even have to time the explosion. Just backflip, pull out a chew, shield, and the explosion propels you like a missile. When Zora Link swims, it's almost like he's flying, but just underwater. At times, you can dolphin jump out of the water to get some air, but you know what? I'm sick of Deku getting all the flying time. I think it's about time we teach Zora to fly. This glitch allows Zora Link to soar in the air, or really just swim in the air. Aim Zora at a very vertical shoreline. Once Zora swims up, change direction and rapidly press A, the button to swim. When you do this, the game gets confused, so just keep mashing A and Zora Link will keep flying. Does this count as fly fishing? Before the modern era of Zelda, jumping was a complicated thing for Link. Oftentimes, it would be an item like Rock's Feather. In Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, Link jumps by running off an edge, but today we change that. The glitch ground jump allows the user to store a jump and use it wherever they please. The setup involves Link, a shield, and a damage source, often a bomb. Setting it up is quite easy. While targeting, roll into a damage source and shield while mashing A just before it explodes. If done correctly, you'll notice that you kind of freeze in front. Link is trying to pick up the object, but it's interrupted. Once the damage occurs, in order to use the ground jump, simply side hop or backflip and voila, Link now jumps vertically. This can be used to reach all sorts of places, but we're not done yet. Zora Link has a thin shield, so you can also perform the ground jump with him as well. This allows Zora Link to jump even higher. Sunblocks require Link to use light arrows to clear the path ahead, but sometimes you can use a clever trick to bypass them. In this game, if you can generate enough speed, sometimes walls, and specifically cracks in walls, become, well, mere suggestions. To skip this block in Stone Tower Temple, which allows you to bypass most of the dungeon, head to this corner here and crouch stab twice while facing to the left to get this very specific position. If you shield drop a bomb right here and set up Zora right in the corner and start praying, well, this might happen. This glitch is a little finicky, but if the stars align, the bomb should launch Link right through and into the next room. Link's movement speed can be important if you're trying to go fast, so let's cover the basics. The game uses movement speed internally to set how fast we are. When Link runs normally, the speed is set to 5.5, and surprisingly, it's one of the slowest ways to move. Now generally, Link can go faster if you roll. However, notice that rolling has an acceleration phase in the beginning. That's when you're going the fastest, but you can't maintain it all the time. The average speed is optimally around 6.5, but we can go faster. Side hopping has an immediate burst of speed, but requires some mashing. If done optimally, you're looking at around a value of 7.8, but we can do better yet. Backwalking with Link, despite looking ridiculous, offers a massive speed of 8.25, though it takes time to turn around. Speedrunning wisdom states, if you can cover the ground in 4 rolls or less, do that instead. Finally, Link's fastest way to move is of course the bunny hood, though it's not as fast as you might think. In fact, the bunny hood and backwalking have the exact same value at 8.25. It's just marginally better because you don't have to turn around and you don't suffer acceleration penalties. All hail the king. Okay, today we're talking about the mechanics of text boxes. Nerdy, I know. So when text goes by in this game, you'll see it go through this box here. Barring unskippable cutscenes, all text is pretty standardized. In your text box, you'll typically notice this symbol at the bottom. A blue triangle indicates there's more left, while a square means that it's done. To advance text, there are actually 3 buttons to do so. Clicking B is by far the fastest. It quickly skips through all the dialogue and sends you straight to the end or to the next question, only requiring 1 press. Clicking A also quickens the text, but you'll have to mash it through every single text box. And finally, you could also hit up C. This doesn't make text go by quickly, but it does exit out of the box. It's kind of insane they programmed 3 different functioning buttons for text. On the topic of speed, you can actually mash one of these 3 buttons on the frame just before the blue symbols appear. If done properly, you will advance to the next text box without seeing any of these blue symbols, meaning that throughout an entire playthrough, these presses could add up to valuable seconds. When you aim your hookshot to shoot, it takes some time to aim. Interestingly, these speeds can differ depending on if the hookshot is already in your hand or not. If you have nothing in your hand, it takes around 11 frames to take it out and aim. Remember, this game runs at 20 frames per second, so that's just over half a second. Now, if you already have a hookshot in your hand, it only takes 7 frames to aim. That's nearly twice as fast. And this difference can matter when in a tight spot. So to help you save time, you can do a quick draw. The premise involves you writing an item in your hand before you actually need it, thus saving a few frames for when you do. Luckily, the setup can be done in multiple ways. You can equip the item on a door transition, you can do it while jumping, but perhaps the easiest way is just tap shield right after you press the button for the item. This will enable you to hold it in your hand, essentially priming it for us. With that, you'll be the fastest draw in all of Termina. Draw. Today, we learn how to Ocarina dive. As the name suggests, it allows Link to dive to the bottom of any source of water with the help of an ocarina. There are a few ways to set this up, and a few reasons why you might want to do this. For the first setup, perform a bomb hover over the water. While in the air, move Link around and mash Ocarina, and you'll see Link eventually sink to the bottom. This one can be a little tricky though, and if you don't want to hover anyway, no worries. You can alternatively target and do a horizontal swing by pressing right and B. Press Ocarina right near the end of the swing, and as you fall, if your timing is just right, Link will fall and take out the ocarina. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, aside from sinking Link to the bottom really quickly, I mean, just look how much faster it sinks than a Zora dive. It's also a gateway to a trick called song storage, which we'll cover soon. Here's a glitch that's a huge stepping stone to a whole host of glitches that we'll cover later on, and it's of course song storage. The idea here is that you can store a song which has a unique effect that can be used later without fully realizing its effects. Let me explain. To set it up, you need to find a place where you can void out. We covered this Zora side hop before, and it's the perfect place to practice. Once here, perform an ocarina dive and quickly play a song just before you warp out. If timed properly, the text box of the song will get interrupted as you void. This allows the effects of the song to be used later on at will. Now, the songs you can actually store are the Song of Time, its inverted and double versions, and the Song of Soaring, though the Song of Time is arguably the most useful. To activate it once stored, simply open any text box. It can be an item in your inventory, or just talking to someone in the overworld. When active, notice that my rupees and item counts reset to 0, but I'm still playing. Small note, opening the Song of Soaring in the menu completely crashes the game, so careful with this one. Alright, class is back in session. We covered Child Link's movement speed, so today we examine Deku Link. At first glance, you might think he's slower, and for good reason. Deku Link is much smaller with stubbier legs. Yet, despite this, his movement running speed is stored internally as 6. Compare that to Child Link's 5.5. In fact, Deku Link is faster in almost every single category. Though he can't roll, spinning nets him an average movement speed of around 7. Deku Link's back walking speed is also faster at a massive value of 9. The interesting dilemma is his side hop. Note that every character has a movement speed associated with being in the air. Since Deku Link flies, he moves through the air a little bit more slowly than everyone else, probably to help players as they fall through the air. This means that his air speed is around 3 when he side hops, versus Child Link's 5.5. Though, despite this, the fact that Deku Link gets to the ground sooner means that he still outspeeds Link if you can mash A fast enough, netting him an average side hopping speed of 8. Alright, class is back in session. We've covered Child Link and Deku Link, and now it's time to examine Zora Link. His model is much more closely proportioned to Adult Link, so as you might assume, he might be faster than Child, and you'd be right. His running speed is stored internally at 6, compared to Link's 5.5. It's a marginal improvement, but if you've been paying attention, you recall that that's the same speed as Deku Link, which is pretty interesting. You'd think these long legs would do something. Zora's rolling speed is quite good, as it averages out at around 7.3, faster than Link's and Deku's. If done optimally, this can actually hit a max speed of 9 at certain intervals, but of course, rolling suffers from that deceleration penalty, so there's faster techniques. Side hopping carries a speed of around 8, same as Deku, and marginally better than Child Link. But of course, Zora's fastest way to move, like everyone else, is back walking at a constant speed of 9. Of course, that's the fastest way you can move on land. In water, well, we'll see you in the next lecture.